good. Alright, cool. Okay, so this is the video demonstration of how I modelled the second batch of assets. Similarly to the rest of my assets, I optimised it the exact same way I optimised the rest, by having one of everything that would repeat. So as you can see here, I've only got one horizontal plank, one vertical plank, one window set all together, half a door frame, only one handle, and only one chain. Whereas in the final version, it's then duplicated and placed. Well, to be fair, it was placed originally. If I open up the actual scene, so what I did was I modelled this stuff in the ship file. I then imported it into a new scene, so I could then work on the high polys. But in terms of the video demonstration, it's a lot easier to explain how I modelled stuff in this file. So first of all, I'm just going to talk about how I modelled it. So if I just delete that unwrap for now. The window pane is very simple. It's just a plane, it's actually a cube, that I deleted the back face because it was going to be inset into the wall, so you wouldn't be able to see that face, so it saves a bit of geometry there. I then inset the front face and extruded inwards a bit. The next thing I did was these horizontal and vertical bars. Again, these are pretty much the same thing, box, but I deleted all the edges that couldn't be seen, as you can see here. So there's no side faces or back face, and that's the same for the horizontal and vertical. The door frame is a cylinder primitive. If I just show an example here, that is quite dense in geometry at the top. So if I just set this to about like 6 and then add an edit poly for some reason. Right. So like quite dense in geometry at the top, a bit like that, and then the bend modifier, like that, and then you can set limits. So and then like just played around with stuff like this. So I think that is what I want. And then, I mean, technically it's the other way round. But yeah, so like half of it's straight and then the other half of it's bent. That's how I did that. Kind of weird that it's the other way round, but yeah, anyway, that's how I did that. And then the door is just a plane. The box, the actual handle stuff, is again a box with a deleted back pane. Then another box with lots of edge loops, again using the bend modifier to create a curve. And once again, I deleted the faces, the actual inside faces, as well as the cap faces, because again the player can't actually see that area. And then this is just a torus, I believe it's called. Yeah, just a torus primitive. For this, this started off as a tube, like that. Then I added an edit poly, just like scaled that in a bit, and then extruded that inwards by local normals. I then added an edge loop all the way around. I then selected like 4 faces, and then left a 2 gap and selected by 2, and just stuff like that, and then used the loop regularizer thing. I had to do them individually because of the like normal direction. Oh no, I inset first and then did it. So insert, and then just that. I did that for each one, and then just extruded like that, and then extruded again, and scaled in until I got that on each of them. And as you can see here, in terms of optimization, I deleted the inner faces because that was embedded in the mast. For the handle, this was again a cylinder with a bend that I then just extended in the middle, and then deleted the edge loop just to save a bit of geometry. And then this was a tube, quite a pretty low poly tube, like that I then added an edit poly, selected these ones, and then just push back like that. These ones push back like that, and then just delete that. Then using a combination of chamfering like so, just to round it out a bit like that. That's the low poly modelling. So I'm now just going to talk about the unwrapping. I got to reset UVWs. Overall, it wasn't that bad. So, like, I think this is just a planar projection from the front, and then these are all just planar projections here. This is a peel, so I set the seam along there because that's where the door frame is, so you wouldn't actually see the seam, and then selected this ring, and that ring, and converted all of those to seams. I then selected the lot, did quick planar and peel, and that gives you this here. This was just a planar projection. This was a cylinder projection for these 3 faces here, and then I used a planar projection on the top and bottom faces and stitched them together. This element was a similar thing to the door frame, which, if I can find it here, I selected these, just turn off element select, these edges here, convert them to seams, quick planar peel. I then stitched them here so it was just one element and easier to control. This also had 2 seams, that was quick planar and peel. Oh, 3 seams, because if I had it any longer, actually no, not for that one, but in some cases like here, if I had it any longer, the texture resolution would shrink on the packing. So yeah, yeah, I don't know why I did it here, but for other things like that, I didn't shrink it like that. For this, this also used the same technique of every hard edge, just setting a seam. So along there. Yeah, this is the example where I had to separate them. So if you can see here, I've got 2 of these just for around the edge, when it could have been 1 if it was just this element, whereas all the others, and it all has to fit in. I had to separate it into 2, and all of these have seams at the bottom because the player can't see. And then similar thing to this, it's pretty much the exact same as this, where I set the seam to the inside because the player can't see it, and then obviously the rings there, quick plane uphill, and once again the same thing here. So there's a seam here going all the way around, I believe, yep, and then in here and in here, and theoretically that should give me through 2 different, yeah, 2 different UV islands for the chain. In terms of packing, I think it's pretty well packed. I mean, I could have done things like flatten those, but for now, I mean, it was getting towards the end of the project, and I felt like I just wanted to get it done. So yeah, it could have been a bit better in terms of packing, but overall it's quite good. On to the high poly now. Find it here. Okay, so much like the other things in my project, the majority of it for the high poly is quad chamfering via smoothing groups, and then turbo smoothing. In this case, so that was done for this, the door frame and the handle parts, this, and for some reason my smoothing groups weren't right here, so it gave it this weird edge, but I kind of liked it, so I just decided to keep it. I mean, it would have been a simple fix of just going back into the edit poly and then fixing the smoothing groups, but I kind of liked how it came out, so I decided to keep it. This went a little bit weird, as you can see here, but like the player only really sees it from like there, so it's not that bad. And similar thing here, there's a little bit of weird distortion, but it doesn't show up too much in the bake. So for the door frame, in the high poly, the door frame has actual geometry, and that is again more wooden planks from the ships, and just started off with a chamfered box like so. And then just adding loop cuts, and so like selecting that one, like scaling it like that, just doing that for the rest of those. And then I also modelled this, like, I want to say support beam, and that was just a box that came to a point, and then quad chamfer via smoothing groups, and then turbo smoothed, and that's how I generate all the high polys for that. In terms of texturing, as you can see, I'm using the file that's actually on the ship, minus the duplication. I need to hide the barrier. So like it would be like that. So this is the file I'm texturing, where everything is in its place, minus the chain, because I forgot to do that. There you go. So in terms of texturing, first of all I did the handles, and this is one of my B2M textures, just scaled up a bit. I think I also turned down the normal map a lot and the height, yeah, just to make it look a little bit less rough. The next one I believe is my dining table texture, yes. And oh, I didn't actually talk about the bake. So if you look here, the bake did come out right. There is a little bit of like weirdness there, but I mean once you apply like the metal, you don't notice it that much, so it's fine. So yeah, the next step was the dining table texture. However, I feel like this kind of gets rid of the depth of the normal map a little bit. I think, yeah, so I combat that here. And this, I believe, yeah, this is a colour and height influence of the curvature map. Just because that way it shows like, it kind of makes it look like there's scratches like near the edges, so it makes it look a little bit worn, but it also does define it a little bit more. Like that looks more like planks than that. So the next thing was the fake glass, and this is just a yellow emissive with no roughness, and then a black base colour with full roughness generated with a dirt generator. I think in here I've got the emissive quite low. Yeah, emissive intensity quite low, that way you can actually see the dirt. So after that was the metal for everything else, and that is just my can of metal here. I then added black mask, and I went to colour polygon fill, and then just set it to like the UV elements and set it to what I needed, so like the chain and the door frame. However, because this wasn't actual geometry and I didn't set an ID map, I then had to add a paint layer and just do my best to paint in the gaps. So if I just kind of set it to white, yeah, you can kind of see how it's like painting on, and I had to do that for that and that. I believe the final step for the texturing is the lighter metal, if I can find it. Aha, here. And again, that is just a light metal with a bit of like roughness variation using black and white spot and then some dirt. Or not. Yeah, roughness variation. I thought I set that to black, but clearly not. Anyway, so once all of that was textured, I then whacked it into the 3ds Max file. And as you can see here, I don't know what that edit. Okay, so that edit poly was to duplicate it along. I then kept that selection in place and then mirrored it so it would only mirror what was selected. I then added another edit poly where I duplicated everything. So all of that, all of the handles and the chain, and then I also duplicated it here. For this, the scale of the door is a little bit off. The player will fit if he ducks his head, so I mean that's fine. So yeah, that is the creation of the second batch of assets. Thank you for watching.